allowed me a lot of experimentation too. A lot of time of like setting up microphones on the drums and trying this combination, and next time trying that combination, and trying this and that, and spending hours on the studio floor tuning the toms. You know what I mean? Like before a session, putting new heads, experimenting with new heads. And it's like I almost became like a drum tech just for being a recording engineer. You know what I mean? Because I just find it so fascinating.
That's awesome.
Yeah, how like the different heads could affect the shells so much, and like how certain shells react to certain tones in one way, and like there was so many times where it's like I want the toms to be a lower pitch, but it's like the drum doesn't want that, and the drum is not going to give you that. You're just going to end up messing up your tone. You're better off giving the shell, the drum, the pitch that it wants, and it'll sing for you. And that's something that, took me a while to learn. And I still haven't really mastered it. I'm still
really
working on it. Yeah. I'm still working.
It's like trying to put round wounds on a P bass. It's like, you got to put the flats on, right?
Exactly, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So those kind of things with drums was really, really, really interesting and fascinating to me. So I got a lot of time experimenting with it, and then of course once it's recorded, taking that into the mix and being like, all right, cool, let's hear what I recorded. Let's see really what I can make from it. All the while, again, many of those being from my friend who I just recorded, and now I'm having him listen to the mix, kind of getting that feedback and that back and forth. And yeah, I just love drums. I guess is what it comes down to. And I love when they punch hard in a mix.
Nice.
A lot of dynamics.
Do you have like any? Is it like different every time, or when you're mixing a drum set, or do you have any like tried and true, I don't know, routing thoughts, types of compression you like to use? Anything that tends to happen, or is it like literally different every single time?
There are certain guidelines that I can follow. It's almost like I can see the goal. There are different routes to get there depending on where I start, right? So if I recorded the drums, I have a much clearer idea of how to get there, because setting up the microphones, I already know what the mix is supposed to sound like, right? And in fact, oftentimes I would record the drums in a way that's like I barely have to do anything when I mix it. But if it's a different recording that someone else did and sent to me, then it's completely new territory. And now, again, I see the goal, but the path I need to take just starts from a very different place. So yeah, I'd say it's fairly different. Guidelines are get the kick to have all the good things that we like from a kick. Get it to have like nice full subs. Get it to have like a clear like smack at the top, but it's not like overwhelming or like disturb the guitars, for example. Get the kick the snare to sound nice and full, but still hear like the bottom of the snare, so it's like sizzly and nice, just these general guidelines. And then from there, see what actually fits with the song. Like, maybe by the time the bass is in, I was like, oh, you know what? Let me go back to the kick and shelf the low frequencies down a little bit and let the bass really, take over that range, or vice versa,
Yeah. Just regular mixing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, your drums sound amazing, and
Thank
so
you.
I guess that kind of image or whatever it is, your aesthetic in your brain is working for you. So keep at it.
Thank you.
Yeah, totally. In terms of like, so I know you're mixing out of Bob's studio. Like, are you able? I'm assuming you have some analog gear. Are you like? What does it look like? Is it hybrid? Is it in the box? What is? It's
hybrid, mostly in the box, but sort of hybrid. We have a few pieces on the desk that we like. We have, let's see, I'm looking at it right now. A Bricasti M7, which is a beautiful reverb. So sometimes, depending on what it is, might come out of the box for the reverb. We have a couple of the Audioscape Pultecs Those are really nice. Sometimes I like just running a signal through them without even moving the knobs. So like everything's at 0. But for some reason, the tubes, transformers, whatever, the signal comes back sounding better almost every time. It's pretty wild. And then we have a couple of pieces from Locomotive Audio. Are you familiar with them?
No.
It's I don't know the full story, but it's a very small boutique company. Eric Strouth from St. Louis, and he kind of works, from my understanding, he mostly works on his own. He's like very much a boutique, kind of like builds equipment, and the stuff is amazing. It's so good. So we have a couple of his preamps. That's all tube stuff. A couple of his preamps. We have a compressor that is incredible. Sounds great. Actually, 2 compressors, 2 different models. One that's called the weight tank. It's like, as the name suggests, it's like geared more towards like low end stuff, and it's so nice. It sounds so good. And then we have retro instruments, stay level, and that's an amazing piece as well. Yeah, those are the main things. We have some like overstayers and stuff, but we rarely end up using those. And then after all that, everything goes out to a summing mixer. It's the Rupert Neve design Orbit, 16x2, but really we only use 8 channels. We don't use the full 16. It sounds great even with just 8 channels.
So you kind of like have adopted Bob's outboard method.
Pretty much. There's like no reason not to, you know?
Yeah, you've got it available. Why not?
There was one time recently I did a mix for a client, and the client was happy and everything, but I was just like, yeah, it sounds good. It's not quite it. Something just isn't it. Like I knew it could be better. Even though the client was happy already, I could have just let it go, right? But then what ended up happening was I got COVID. So I was secluded at home for a few days. It was a pretty light case. And I ended up reopening the session at home. So I didn't have any of the equipment. I had headphones, my small Apollo interface, and I had my Pro Tools, and that's it. And I basically started the mix from scratch. I was like, I'm doing a whole new pass on this. I have time, might as well.
Yeah.
And so this pass was completely in the box, 100%, right? By the time I was done with it, and it took me a couple of days, I was going back and forth a lot because I'm not used to working that way, right? And in headphones and all that. By the time I was done with it, and I got better, I came back to the studio, pulled up that mix that I did at home, fully in the box, and compared, and I was like, wow, this is so much better than what I had before. And I ended up making a couple of tweaks in here, but really just to like use the speakers in the room. I still didn't go out of the box for anything. Did a couple of tweaks and send it back to the client and explained the whole situation. I was like, look, I was not quite happy. I got sick. I had some time. I did a whole new mix for you. What do you think? And he loved it. He loved it. He was really happy. And anyway, so this whole story to say, yes, for the most part, I adopt all this workflow, all this gear, because why not? It's here, and I thankfully get to use it. But that's not to say that one cannot do a great mix without all of that. And
yeah,
and I got to do it kind of out of necessity. No, I wouldn't call it necessity, but you know what I mean. Like I was sick at home, and so I had to like try the mix again at home without any of that, and it turned out better than when I did the mix with all of the equipment. That's awesome. Something to say for that, you know.
So it's like, so I guess out of the box is saving you time, maybe, or it's like getting you to where you want to go a little bit quicker, or it just gives you a little bit of extra flavor.
I would call it more so a little extra flavor. The real time saver in this, you know, particular story I just told was, I think, the speakers more than anything. The speakers compared to headphones, because I'm still not used to mixing in headphones. I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah.
But
I'm similar, yeah.
yeah, it's very difficult for me to mix in headphones. I really want to get to that point where I can move back and forth with no problem. It's like, oh yeah, I can do this mix on headphones. You know, we
just need to shell out like $1,200 on a pair of ODs and then
right. But
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe.
Well, maybe. I mean, I do have a really nice pair. They're not, these 1200, but still a few hundreds. They're really nice, and they're definitely the closest I got to having workable pair of headphones. But I don't know. There's still something missing. Like there, and I don't know how to explain it, but there would be times that I hear something wrong with the mix. Or not something wrong, but like something that I need to work on, right? In a weird way, I wouldn't know how to do it when I'm in headphones. Whereas if I'm in speakers, like, oh yeah, cool, pull up this EQ, pull up this compressor, whatever I need to do, got it done. In headphones, like, I know this is bothering me. I don't know what to do about it. It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to explain it. I don't know if you share the same experiences or feelings. But
Not exactly, but I think I understand what you're saying. Of like, it's like when you listened on somebody's speakers in a room that you're not familiar with, and you're like not quite understanding what's going on, like
Sure.
with the EQ or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
that I can definitely relate to.
Yeah,
Of like,
yeah.
I don't know these speakers. I have no idea what I'm listening to or how this is going to work. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Like,
maybe it's just that. Yeah.
maybe it's just learning. Maybe it's just like learning them.
Right.
You know? Yeah, I have a pair of the Sennheiser HD 600s, and they're nice. And I actually EQ them with my RME's output, because they're lacking a little bit of sub and some presence.
Mm-hmm.
But like, and it's close. Like I matched it to my Focal monitors, and they were quite similar.
Yeah.
But it's still different. It doesn't. There's something in the stereo imaging that just doesn't.
Right.
It's not quite the same.
What I have are the Aventone Pro planar headphones. And they're not a dynamic driver. Planar magnetic is like a different. That's basically like the same technology that all the Audis use.
It's active.
So, and then what I do is there is another program it's by Rogue Amoeba. I'm sure you're familiar with Rogue Amoeba, right?
No.
No? Oh, okay. I thought maybe you used that for your podcast. They make a lot of different applications that it's almost like internal system audio applications. So like you can do like different routings within your computer, like not Pro Tools or anything, it's like more for
like Soundflower.
Exactly. They bought Soundflower at some point, I think.
Okay.
In my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah. So they have this one piece of program called SoundSource. It's called SoundSource, and what that lets you do is on the output of your computer, it basically taps into the output of your computer, and you can put any plugin you want on the output of your computer. So if some people, and I think that's kind of how like Sonarworks does it too, right? You would put a plugin on the output of Pro Tools or Cubase or whatever you use. This one, you don't need to put a plugin in Pro Tools and then accidentally print it, right? Which is kind of the problem that many people have. You put it on the output of the computer. And then it's essentially like you put any plugin on it and you tune your headphones that way. So in my chain, I have a Pro Q3 that does my general like EQ tuning. And those headphones, I like them a lot, but they're a little muddy, like in the mids. So I have like 3 notches there, I think. I boost the subs, and I think I boost the highs too. And they sound really great. So then I use Can Opener Studio by Goodhertz. That's basically like a crossfeed plugin for headphones.
Huh.
So
that's hilarious.
So you get to choose how much of your right channel bleeds into the left and how much of the left bleeds into the right. And it really and it has a Baxendale EQ built in as well. But it just really opens the image and makes it feel like, oh, yeah, it's like I'm in front of speakers again. It's pretty amazing.
That's amazing.
So it really helps me
cool.
personally.
Yeah, that's so cool. Like I know that, people are using like the Slate VSX and the Waves, maybe it's like the NX, I'm not even sure what it's called. Yeah. But like I've never heard of that exact method on the Can Opener plugin. It sounds super neat. Like I know that people talk about the what's it called, the crossfeed. yeah, for the headphones not sounding the same. And I don't know, it's worth experimenting for sure.
Yeah.